If you're a club player and you're looking for a response to pawn to king 4, then look no further than the queen to d8 Scandinavian defense if you're looking for quick knockouts. And don't underestimate how important it is to get a lot of quick knockouts if you play over the board chess, because then you can rest between rounds. So I just got done playing a game, and since I've switched to this queen to d8 Scandi, I've never had so many quick knockouts of opponents. It's somewhat paradoxical, but I think they get lulled into this false sense of security, and they think they can play passively and get away with it. So my game today, I thought we were going down normal Scandi territory here, and he played this h3, which is fine. So I developed my bishop to f4 instead of g4, and he plays this pawn to d3. And so you could, if you wanted to, even play knight to c3, knight to c6 here and be a bit more aggressive. I decided to play e3 for now. And now, because he spent this tempo on h3, I can get away playing h6 to create this hiding hole for my bishop, so that he can't play knight to h4 and hunt down my light squared bishop. And because he didn't play d4, I can actually play c5 here and try to get more share of the center. So there wouldn't be anything wrong with playing the traditional, setting up the traditional restraint structure here. But because this guy is playing a bit passively, I wanted to try to take over the center. And now he continues with these passive moves. And that's one thing I notice sometimes is if you're playing the queen to d8 Scandi and your opponent doesn't aggressively fight for control of the center, sometimes you can get quick knockouts with the Scandi. And I think when he played this move, I thought he was going to try to develop his bishop on this diagonal. So I moved my bishop to the more aggressive diagonal, because that's one of the luxuries of having this h6 move, is now he can't play bishop to g5. So I actually was happy to have him if he wanted to develop his bishop over here. So I played bishop to d6 to keep him from developing his bishop to f4. Because one thing I was concerned with earlier when I played a6 was, imagine if he gets his bishop here and then his knight here, and he gets this Jobava London kind of pressure on us. But that isn't the case. So now he played knight to h4, harassing my bishop, but we had time to create this hiding hole. And so now, one thing I'm trying to work on, and it's not always the easiest, but is I try to look at the consequence of the move that my opponent has made. So when he played knight to h4, his knight is now unprotected on that h4 square. And the thing to notice is my queen is actually x-raying that knight. So that's just, there's no way to like immediately exploit it, but it is worth just mentally noting that alignment exists. And so now he played this. I thought this was a bit strange. He played this rook to a2. So he's played a few passive moves now. This piece is still unprotected there. So because we played c5, we can more aggressively place our knight on c6, get all our pieces developed. And now he plays this rook to b2 move. And so clearly I think he's trying to, set up the b4 maybe. I'm not quite sure. I mean, he can't even do that yet, but I don't know why else he would be doing that. But as we note the consequence of their move and the new geometry of the board and the way the pieces are lined up, one thing we notice, and it, and this is what I'm trying to work on, going through the steps method, is that we have these two pieces that are lined up on the same diagonal, and the knight is unprotected. And when we combine that with this unprotected knight on h4, our antenna should go up a little bit and start looking if there's any way we can exploit those weaknesses in his position. And in this case, it turns out we actually can quite easily. And so I just played bishop to e5. And now if you notice, we're threatening to take that, his knight, on c6, on c3. And he can't just move his knight away, because we would win an exchange by doing bishop takes rook on b2. So he's in a bit of a pickle here. And he ended up playing bishop to d2. And unfortunately, that doesn't solve all of his problems, because we play knight to d5. And now we have an additional attacker on that knight. He's still in the same predicament. He can't move his knight away because our bishop is x-raying that rook. So he's in a, he's basically lost here. And so on move, basically on move 13, he was lost against the Scandi. So now we just have this simple tactic. And the thing to note is this knight is still a problem. And that bishop took away its retreat square. So he lashed out and he took that. I guess he figured he'd at least cripple my pawn structure a little bit, is what he was thinking, I'm guessing. But now we still have this. And I knew he was angling for that, and I saw that these two rooks kind of hold both of these pawns nicely. So now he has to retreat. And now we just play queen. If he takes us, then we're just, two minor pieces up. So he tries to extend the game a little bit. And I think sometimes, you still want to think prophylactically a bit. So clearly this b4 move was on his mind before when he played rook to b2. So I ended up playing a5 because now we got three pieces protecting that b4 square. And if you look at it, that bishop there is just a pain for him, because now he can't develop to e1. So he's just in a bind. We're in no hurry. I mean, we got slower plans like this that could work, or who knows where we put our rook. We can go for a kingside attack. We have all the options here. We're not in a rush. We're a lot of material ahead. So now we have this position where we have all these three pieces lining up on a1. So it's pretty easy to imagine what's going to happen at this point. And I wanted to have these two rooks connected, because I didn't want to have, even though it was highly unlikely, I didn't want to have any things where his queen comes here and threatens back rank issues. One thing is when you have an overwhelming position, there's no style points rewarded for, finding the best computer move or something like that. You want to just not enter any unnecessary complications or give any play at all to your opponent. And there we go. Another quick knockout with the queen to d8 Scandi. And I was kind of surprised. I've because I spent part of my chess playing life trying a bunch of different openings, and I played the Sicilian, things that you would think you would have more aggressive openings that you would get more quick knockouts with. I've never had as many quick knockouts as I have with this queen to d8 Scandi. And even though it's somewhat paradoxical? I'm not sure that it is, because people just underestimate it. Number one, they don't prepare something for it. They just kind of make it up as they go. And because they don't have something prepared, then they're kind of non-committal, like this guy. You saw he played A3, H3, rook to B2, like all these kind of slow moves. And it doesn't take that many, tempos wasted in a chess game, and you can find yourself in a position like this. So, I mean, if you want quick knockouts, the Scandi is definitely the opening for you.